Hey, what's up, guys? Gypsy back here today, bringing you a draft analysis for a new league that I've become involved in. The league is called the CPC, and it's run by my buddies Joey and John. So, shout out to those guys for organizing it all. But yeah, so basically the draft league is called the CPC, and it's consisting of a ton of amazing players this season. It's in its third season, and typically it's been pretty solid from what I've heard. This is my first year being involved, my first season being involved in it. But it's been pretty successful from what I've seen in their past seasons. But this season they've actually taken on board myself, as well as a lot of my NPL buddies, and as well as a number of other great battlers. It's basically half the NPL is essentially in this league, as well as Chimpact, the GBA player, which is pretty mad. But yeah, like it's just a bunch of my NPL mates. We got Chimpact, and then we've got people like Anthony, Purple Raven 24, which he's featured on my channel several times. Awesome guy, good friend of mine, and a really solid draft league player. So the competition is just insane. It's stacked like crazy. The divisions are just like, they're crazy. I'll get into that a bit later, but basically, I joined this season to have a bit of fun. Obviously, the NPL is my sort of main focus when it comes to the draft leagues, but I was considering staying out, but my friends were really, they were pressuring me to join, and eventually they got to me. So we're here with the draft analysis, bringing you guys the picks that I chose, the team that I've constructed, and hopefully you guys will like it. Hopefully you guys will enjoy the team that I've made, and it's kind of different to what I've drafted in the past historically in my other leagues. I guess you guys will sort of figure that out as we go on. But I really feel as though we can have some fun with this draft. Anyway, we'll kick it off. Basically, we had the option to franchise Amon. It was franchising Amon from basically any other Mon that wasn't drafted by the returning coaches from the previous season, if I'm remembering correctly. I think that's how it worked out. Anyway, we actually franchised Kieran Black as our franchise pick, which is pretty awesome because Kieran Black is a monster in standard play, and it's obviously a monster in draft format too. It has very few reliable switch-ins, so that is definitely something I'm pretty excited to be able to play around with. I really think I can make it put in work. It's not really hard for Kieran to put in work. Like, it doesn't take a good player to make it work. Like, anyone can click, outrage, ice beam, and basically get a kill. But yeah, I think Kieran has a lot of interesting sets. It's definitely, obviously in standard play, it's a little bit more limited in what it can do. Like, obviously you can run certain gimmicks, but in draft format, I feel as though like there's a lot more room for creativity. So Kieran can actually shine a little bit more than it can in standard play, where it's forced to run more sort of, rigid sets like the mixed wall breaker, or a bandit or a scarf set. There's a bit more room for creativity in the draft format, I feel, and I really feel as though Kieran is going to shine, especially with the rest of the ones I've drafted. So that was something I was really excited to pick up. It's pretty self-explanatory. He's got a monstrous attack stat. It's with a minus attack nature, but just give him adamant, and his attack is 482. So that's just insane. It's basically a mega evolution. Like, it's got more attack than like Mega Scizor and Mega Absol, etc. Slap a choice band on there, and yeah, nothing's really surviving an outrage. Everything gets 2-hit code, I believe, and unless the fairy, but we'll get to that. Kieran is just a monster, and I'm really looking forward to messing around with him. He's actually got really good defensive stats too. Although he does have a pretty bad defensive typing, it is useful in some aspects, as Dragon is a pretty nice defensive typing, being able to have some nice key resistances across the board. But Ice is kind of shit, because obviously he's weak to Stealth Rocks. He's weak to common attacks, like common attacking types like Fighting and Rock, Steel, Fairy. But we can play around that. So Kieran was pretty awesome to pick up first up. Now for my first pick, I think I had a pretty decent pick overall. It was a while ago, I forget, but anyway, for my first pick, I managed to secure Sylveon. Sylveon was my first overall pick of the draft, because I was able to secure Kieran as a franchise pick, so it worked out to be my last overall pick on my first. However franchises work, but basically my first pick of the actual draft was Sylveon, and Sylveon was a mon that I had an idea how my draft was going to go down in mind, and I wanted to secure Sylveon first up because although Clef would have made a fantastic, I had access to Clef. I could have got Clef, but basically I wanted to get Sylveon. I've had Clef in the past, and yeah, Clef's amazing. It can do anything really, but it's kind of boring in the sense that like. It's just like I don't know. It's an easy win. Sylveon I think is a lot more fun in my opinion. It's better than Clef in some aspects. It's worse in others, but I feel as though Sylveon definitely does have more immediate offensive presence in the form of a higher base special attack, and obviously the Pixelate ability, which just gives its Hyper Voice just huge damage output. It's a nice push pass. It's a nice cleric for the team. Overall, a really solid one. Synergizes quite nicely with Kyurem. I've got the Fairy Dragon Steel Core starting, and I really I was out to draft me some cores this season. So next up, we actually managed to nab Mega Scizor, and Mega Scizor is a mon that it's easily the best OU Mega currently in the game right now. It's a mon that I have a lot of experience with, and it's a mon that I really wanted to try and draft on that I haven't had a chance to yet. But I know it's going to put in the work. It's just got ridiculous stats across the board. It's basically an offensive Starmie, the same defensive capabilities as Starmie. It's got more resistances, and it's got 100 Spit F, which is important. As we'll get to that later on. But yeah, the Spit F stat is really nice. But yeah, just the ridiculous physical bulk is just so nice for like a setup Scizor. 150 base attack is no joke either. That's pretty strong with Technician. Yeah, he's a really solid mon. Nice momentum in U-turn. Just nice, nice. You can even set up screens. You can be a screen setter. It sounds pretty strange, but yeah, there's that option too. Overall, a Dragon Fairy Steel Core was something I was really excited to play around with, because typically in the past I have like synergy in my drafts. We still managed to do really well, but my drafts don't have the best like typing synergy. We just play around with what we have. But this season I was lucky enough to just nab this nice little core, and I got a feeling it's going to put in the work. So next up, I wanted to grab a mon that I just love in draft format. I love in standard play too, and that is none other than Tangrowth. Tangrowth is really nice. While it does stack the fire type weakness that is shared by Mega Scizor, it's just such a fantastic mon. That regenerator ability is so key. It's a fantastic utility mon. It has moves like Sleep Powder, Leech Seed. It's got knockoff. It's got fantastic mixed attacking stats, as you can see here. Base 100 in attack, base 100 in special attack. While its special defense is pretty lackluster. Slap an AV on and it can tank special hits surprisingly well. It's just base defense is just disgusting. 125 with regenerator, base 100 HP. It's just so fat. You can just live so many hits, even super effective on the physical side. Especially super effective on the especially defensive side as well, if I'm AV, which is pretty nice. So yeah, that's Tangrowth. Pretty self-explanatory. I'm starting to develop a nice regen core, which is pretty nice. If I can manage to secure some other regen uses, that'll be pretty nice. I'm pretty excited to use that to test out Tangrowth, and it's definitely not going to be the defensive role each week. I'll say that right now. As Tangrowth, that'd be a waste. I may as well have picked up something like Chestnut or something, because Tangrowth, if I wanted that, Tangrowth is just not to be slept on in the offensive department. Next up, we picked up Arcanine. Arcanine forms a really nice defensive backbone, resisting or absorbing if I opt to run Flash Fire. Scizor's Fire type weakness, as well as Tangrowth's Fire type weakness. It also comfortably chooses Steel type attacks aimed at Sylveon and Kyurem, which is really nice. So Arcanine is just a fantastic one in draft format. Intimidate is really key, weakening physical attackers who may want to take on my Sylveon and my Kyurem. It's just really nice. It allows me to spread burns, priority in E-speed, which is really nice. It's got reliable healing in the form of Morning Sun. It can run an offensive set. If you check out its stats right here, its defense is essentially 50% larger because of Intimidate. It's got a really nice base HP stat. It's got really solid mixed attacking stats again, and a pretty decent speed tier at 95. Not bad Spit F either at 80, which is pretty nice for a physical war. So yeah, we've got a nice Firewater Grass core beginning. Next up, I had to nab one of my favorite monsters to mess around with in draft format, and that is Reuniclus. Reuniclus is a nice bulky pivot with regenerator. If you want to run like an Assault Vest regenerator, we're actually using Reuniclus in the CFA league, and it's put in that work already. You know, not even halfway into the season, it's just done so much work for us. And I know Reuniclus is capable of so much. It's such a fantastic sleeper mon in draft format. Base 30 speed is really nice for a Trick Room user, being able to support mons on my team that are just nice and slow. Overcode is actually pretty decent. It gets slept on a lot, but Overcode is pretty nice if I'm versing like a sleep team, something like an Amungus or a Breloom, and I want to run a different item. I don't want to run safety goggles, for example. Magic Guard, obviously, amazing ability, and Regenerator is pretty nice too. You know, starting to form a nice Regenerator core. So Reuniclus is just such a fantastic one. Really high base HP stat too, 110. And a really nice 125 special attack stat, on par with that of Hydreigon, on par with that of a lot of other special attackers. It's really good. With Magic Guard, I can wield the Life Orb without fearing the recoil damage. It's such a strong mon, and because I don't have to worry about speed tiers, I can opt to run like a special attack boosting nature, like a Modest nature, which gives me a higher attack stat than that of like a Timid Latios. So it's just such a strong hitter. It's just crazy like how strong this is with Life Orb. I can run stuff like Specs, Future Sight, Heat like that, a Trick Room, Future Sight. It's just got like fantastic utility and moves like T-Wave, Knock Off. Just a fantastic mon overall, and a mon that I'm really excited to mess around with. So we'll get on to the second half of my team. Alright, so next up we are, I was really wanting Slowking, and I did manage to secure him. I felt as though he'd go undrafted for a while. Slowbro typically gets drafted before Slowking, if at all. Slowking doesn't really get drafted that much in my experience, and I felt as though it was pretty safe to leave it towards the end. Slowking just synergizes so nicely with Arcanine and Tangrowth. I've got that Firewater Grass core, that nice regen core with Tangrowth and Reuniclus. Again, a really high base HP stat. Really solid defensive stats, 80 and 110, and considering that Slowbro and Slowking can actually achieve fairly similar stats if with the right investment. Like, they can achieve a similar SpDef and defense stat with the right nature and investment, so that's pretty cool. Slowking's amazing, another Trick Room user, which is really key. It can run a Nasty Pot or a Calm Mindset. It's got stuff like T-Wave, Iron Defense. It's got Regenerator, obviously. Just a really solid mon. It's really powerful one to start setting up as well. It's got Dragon Tail for utility, switching out setup sweepers. It's got that nice disable. Yeah, it has a lot of really fun moves to mess around with, and Slowking is just a really nice pivoting into certain special attackers that the rest of my team doesn't want to take on. Having the Regenerator is really nice as well, because if I want to run like an AB Regenerator set, I can just switch in for days on special attackers and then just switch out, get that nice 33% health back, and yeah, not have to fear Slowking getting worn down that much. So that's pretty nice. Obviously, all my defensive pivots really do appreciate wish support from Sylveon, so that's another reason why they all just synergize really nicely. So next up, I have drafted that really nice defensive core, as well as a pretty powerful offensive Fairy Dragon Steel core. I wanted a Dark type. Originally I wanted Skuntank, but that got sniped. I felt as though that was just a matter of time before that thing got picked up. So that was the only thing really that I got sniped on. So I wasn't salty about it or anything. Like, these things happen. I was surprised I hadn't got sniped up to that point. So while Skuntank would have been nice to have that extra defog support, there were plenty of other dark types left. I had the option of going potentially Spiritomb, but I wanted something that could comfortably check things like Gengar, and Spiritomb can't do that well, because Shadow Ball, if he's Life Orb, does a ton, Dazzling Gleam to Echoes. I decided to go with Drapion. Drapion's a really nice mon. It's really solid. It's got a really high defense stat, as you can see there with a 110. Pretty solid for a mon that is pretty nice attacking stats overall. Got that 95 speed. Has access to something like I really wanted in Toxic Spikes. That is pretty key. Being able to whittle down my opponents is really nice in conjunction with my War Core and my Fairy Dragon Steel Core. I feel as though Toxic Spikes are going to come in clutch. I can also run like a fast Taunting Drapion, which is obviously I'm not going to go into all the sets I can possibly run because I don't want to give too many things away. But yeah, Drapion has a lot of tricks up its sleeve. Really solid mon. Got that battle armor. Can't be struck by a crit, so that's nice. Sniper if I want to run like a really like a crit happy set, but A really solid one overall. Pretty fat when invested, and pretty solid offensively. You know, it has. I can even run that heat acupressure set if I'm really feeling wild. But I don't know. Drapion's really solid. It has access to boosting moves. I think it gets Swords Dance if I'm correct. Yeah, it gets Swords Dance. So Swords Dance knockoff. Dark Poison is really solid offensively. So I was really stoked to pick up Drapion. Really solid one, and nice hazard support and toxic spikes. Also allows me to absorb toxic spikes too, which is something that I really wanted. I wanted a dark type and a poison type, hence why I wanted Skuntank. But being able to absorb toxic spikes is really important for my team because my Warcore, while I do have Regenerator and such, doesn't really like being poisoned. Stuff like Arcanine doesn't appreciate getting stepping on those toxic spikes and catching that poison. So having a mon that can absorb that is nice. Next up, we needed a reliable rocker, we needed a bird check, we needed a mon on my team that could just strike fear into the hearts of all my opponents, and that is none other than Stunfisk. Stunfisk, as you all should know now by watching my content, is not to be slept on. Stunfisk is probably the best mon in draft format. You know, probably better than Manaphy, I'd say, better than Mega Lopunny. Probably better than Metagross even, I'd say. It's just such a fantastic mon. In all seriousness though, it's really solid. It's a really nice mon, as you guys know. It's one of my favorite. It's got that Stealth Rock access, which is really clutch, and it can do a ton of other things. But I'm not going to talk about it in this video because I've given it a lot of publicity on my channel, and I don't really need to talk about it any more than that. Stunfisk is Stunfisk, and it's going to put in the work. I'm telling you now. Next up, I wanted a mon that could, because obviously my team is pretty fat. However, if I get like a bulky setup mon setting up against me, that could be a potential problem. I didn't want things like Zardex, if it was drafted, causing havoc to my team. Being able to set up like a bulky Zardex could potentially set up on like a non-T-Wave Slowking or like either like a non-toxic Arcanine, something like that. I wanted checks to certain setup sweepers because they are a potential problem to my team. So I picked up Quagsire. Quagsire is really solid. With the Unaware ability. I have Water Absorb as well, potentially, if I am facing like Rain offense or something like that. But Quag's really solid. You know, it can do more than the Recover Toxic Soul set. It actually has quite a lot of tricks up its sleeve, which is pretty nice. It's got that base 95, which gives it 394 HP. It's really solid. It's got a nice defensive stat when combined with Unaware and that huge HP stat. It tanks physical hits pretty well. Obviously, it's not like the best physical wall by any means. It can easily be 2-KO'd by like really strong breakers, but it is a nice deterrent against setup sweepers. So that is something I was looking for, and that is, yeah, I think it's just going to be a nice sort of safety net for my team in case I am facing like a non-mold breaker setup sweeper. So I was pretty happy with Quagsire. It's a bit of a dopey looking Pokemon, but it'll put in the work, I'm sure. And last pick, we picked up a mon that can support my team in so many ways. It may seem like an unusual pick, and it may not seem like the best pick in the world, but I'm pretty happy with it. We picked up Masquerain, and Masquerain, I'm actually not gonna talk too much about it because I don't want to give too much away, but it's a pretty great mon. Base 70 HP isn't too bad. It's not too high, but you know, it's not like as low as something like a Rotom. It's got pretty decent defensive stats. Obviously, Intimidate, essentially meaning it has 1.5 times its defensive stats. So it's pretty good on the mon that it switches in on anyway. So yeah, pretty bulky in that sense. It has access to a lot of utility moves. It can set up sticky webs, which is really nice actually for my team. I can baton pass boosts to the rest of my team. It's got Aqua Jet priority. It's got Defog, which is really important, as now I do have 2 potential Defog users on my team, which is nice in case I do get like hazard stacked. I don't want tons of spikes in the field, so that's pretty nice. So that is Masquerain. Obviously, you can do a ton more stuff, but I'm not really going to go into it. My opponents will go into it if they need to, but apart from that, that is my team, and yeah, we've got some fat, we've got some powerful offense, and I really feel as though it'll put in the work. But guys, like I said, you know, the competition is absolutely stacked. We've got the likes of, just to name a few guys from the MPL, my buddies. We've got Matty Brolick. You know, he's a god in the format. He's really solid. If you guys haven't checked him out, then definitely go and check him out. We've got Sebastian, top tier boy, I should say, up and coming Smog on tour, Lord, and a really solid draft player. Actually, he's really made a name for himself so far in the NPL. Then we have, like as I said, Anthony, my boy Anthony. You know, he doesn't need an introduction. He's a really great draft player. Definitely one of the best, and a really worthy opponent. So looking forward to facing him. We've got Shimpax, we've got Trev the King, we've got Togue, who's I just had a battle with him actually on my channel. Really good guy. Just to name a few, and then we've got like, you know, winners from previous seasons of the CPC. It's really stacked. My division is actually one of the most stacked in the league. I've got Matty Brolick, Sebastian, top tier boy, and Sam, the winner of season 2 of the CPC. So really stacked division. Really looking forward to it. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought of my team. I'm really in this to have fun, but obviously, you know, we're gonna try and we're gonna win. What am I saying? But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this team. It's gonna be a lot of fun. A lot of fun to use. A lot of fun to pretty versatile mons too. I mean, I know it looks like I've just drafted fat warcores, but trust me when I say like it's a lot more versatile than the NPR. I'm not going to be running like fat regen walls every single week with like standard offense from my Dragon Fairy Steel Core. I'm going to mix it up, obviously. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the coverage. I will be uploading this along with my CFA and NPL matches, but obviously NPL takes priority. That's going to be my main upload, but I will endeavor to get the rest of my matches up, as well as, you know, obviously my CFA matches. We're in that league too, enjoying all that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a like if you did. Let me know in the comments what you think of my team. You know, feedback is always nice. It's always nice to know what you guys think of my choices and my teams. And yeah, you know, you guys have a good day, and I'll catch you next time.